Hello again, I'm Dudley Thompson, and welcome to WDT Media TV. And again, please like, share, and subscribe. This is part two to a video we did earlier about the Prime Minister when we said that he is losing his popularity or getting unpopular. All right, and some persons who I assume are GLP supporters, wow, didn't take too kindly to such an assessment of the Prime Minister that he is losing his popularity. All right, and it's based on the fact that he's getting less votes in West Central St. Catherine. And according to our research that we did, and it stated that getting fewer votes in elections can signal a decline in a prime minister's popularity, but it is not an absolute indicator. Yes, for emphasis, this is not my views, my opinion. This is a research we did for this video. And again, it says getting fewer votes in elections can signal a decline in a prime minister's popularity, but it is not an absolute indicator. And it says what can cause a decline in a prime minister's vote is the rise of a strong third party. But as we know, in Jamaica, it's not the case because Jamaica's third party is yet to make any impact on the voter base of both PNP or JLP. And for those who misunderstand, we're not saying that the Prime Minister is not popular. In fact, he's more popular than Mark Golding. What you're saying is that his popularity is not as strong as it used to be. And we have the figures to back it up. And for those who are saying that all maths don't add up, this will add up. It could be your calculator or your calculations that is not adding up. Let us now go to the elections of 1997 in West Central St. Andrew, where Andrew Holness, you can see here, he got 5,328 votes to Warren Blake's 5,262. Let's now go to the elections of 2002. And this is in the West Central St. Andrew constituency, where Andrew Holness got 6,580 votes, an increase of 1,252 over what he received in 1997. He beat Paul Buchanan for the first time, 5,262 votes for Paul Buchanan. The Prime Minister got a whopping 6,580 and an increase over 1997, where we got 5,328, an increase by 1,252 votes. And this time now, the Prime Minister voting numbers is on the rise or on the increase. Now the elections of 2007, again, Andrew Holness again, winning the seat again. He got 6,933 votes, an increase of 353. So every time the PM wins an election, you see an increase in his own voter turnout who voted for him. This time it's 353, an increase over 2002. In 2011 elections, you want to see it again. And this is where the peak of his popularity begin to take shape. You can see here, he won the elections, he won the seat again in West Central St. Andrew, and this time he got 7,799 votes. An increase, yes, an increase of 1,060. Pay attention to this line here. An increase of 1,060. So again, his popularity began to rise because he won the seat, but increased voter count by 1,060 votes in 2011. Pay attention. In 2016 elections, it was the peak of his popularity. Yes, the peak of his popularity. Because it's the first time and the only time in his constituency that Andrew Holness won the constituency of West Central St. Andrew and got over 8,000 votes. It's the first and only time. Yes, he won and got over 8,000 votes. You can see on the screen, he received 8,625 votes, an increase of 626. So again, his vote count keep increasing, and this was a peak of his popularity. And again, he beat Patrick Roberts, who got 6,384 votes. So again, in 2016 was the peak of the popularity of Andrew Holness, and again, the first and only time that he won the seat and got over 8,000 votes. Now to 2020, where the decline started. You can see here, he won the elections in 2020 and they received 7,199 votes, a decrease by 1,426 votes. This is the first time Andrew Holness was winning his seat, and we see his voting not increasing but decreased. It decreased by 1,426 votes, and this to me is the start of the decline in its popularity. As we stated that getting fewer votes in elections can signal a decline in popularity of a prime minister, but is not an absolute indicator. So come 2020, we saw a big decrease in the vote numbers for Andrew Holness, decreased by 1,426 votes. And the elections in 2025, Andrew Holness also won a seat by defeating Paul Buchanan, and he got 7,054 votes to Paul Buchanan's 4,953, a decrease by 145 votes. As you're seeing here earlier, the elections between 1997 and 2016, every time Andrew Holness won his seat those years, we saw an increase in the numbers. But in 2020 and this year, 2025, we saw decreases in Andrew Holness voting numbers. And again, we're not saying that it is unpopular. What you're saying is that his popularity, there is a dip in his popularity. And again, the research in this stated that getting fewer votes in elections can signal a decline in a prime minister's popularity, but is not an absolute indicator. And again, what can cause a decline? in the Prime Minister's voting count is the rise of a competitive third party. And in Jamaica, it's not the case because Jamaica does not have a competitive third party. So now in summary, we saw where Andrew Holness won the elections in 97 and received 5,328 votes. In 2002, we also won his seat in West Central St. Andrew, and we saw an increase of 1,257 votes. In 27, he also won an increased margin by 353. In 2011, he also won. 2016, he also won. And the total increase in his votings between 97 and 2016 was 3,296 votes, an average of 659.2 votes per election. All right. Let's now go to the last two elections now and see the difference. The last two elections now. Look at the difference here. The last two elections. He won his seat in 2020, but his voting count went down by 1,426 votes. In 2019, he also won a seat against beating Paul Buchanan, but he won by 145 votes less that time. A total decrease for the last two elections is 1,571 votes. So he is losing 785.5 votes per election for the last two elections. And some people are of the view that the reason why Andrew Holness' vote count is going down is because in that constituency, persons have migrated, some have transitioned, mean unalive, between 2020 and 2025. So the person who have that concept or that theory, answer me this question now in the comment section. Answer this question in the comment section right now. So when Andrew Holness was seeing a boom in his numbers, increase in his numbers between 1997 and 2016. So all those years, nobody in the constituency was migrating. Nobody had been unalive then. Nobody at all in West Central St. Andrew have migrated between 97 and 2016. Nobody were unalive in that constituency over those years. So it was only between 2020 and 25 that persons were migrating and unalive in that area. That's what you want us to believe? No, that's serious. No, sir. So again, let's talk about why the Prime Minister voting has been decreased the last election about unalive and migration. Total rubbish. Because no way anybody is going to believe that persons will be unalive between these years and not these years. That's just not possible. No way at all. And as we say again, that we're not saying that Andrew is unpopular or Mark Golding is more popular. No, we are not saying that. What we are saying is that Andrew is popular, but right now his popularity is not as strong as between 2011 and just after 2016. based on the numbers, as you can see it again on your screen. Between 97 and 2016, every time Andrew Holness won a seat, he increased his voting numbers. Between 2020 and 2025, every time he won his seat, we saw a decrease in the numbers. And again, for emphasis, getting fewer votes in elections can signal a decline in popularity of a prime minister, but not an absolute indicator. This is not my opinion, my views is based on research. And again, why? What can cause a decline in the prime minister's vote? Could be a rise in a strong third party, but as we all know in Jamaica's case, we simply do not have a strong third party. It could be something else that is contributing to decline in its popularity. So experts say in Jamaica, the three-term syndrome, or Jamaica's two-term syndrome, could be a factor why its popularity is on the decline. Yes, but for the record, Andrew Holness is still popular. But it's now on the decline. And some argue that Andrew Holness is not unpopular because he have a big crowd at during the campaign, the rallies. We saw big crowds, yes, but look at this factor now. And explain this to me now. In 1980, Michael Manley had the biggest crowd in Sam Sharp Square. Over 100,000 people attend Michael Manley PNP rally in Sam Sharp Square in 1980. And guess what? 1980 elections, Michael Manley lost by the biggest landslide in Jamaica's history. 51-9. He had the biggest crowd in Sam Sharp Square in 1980. And he said, 100,000 strong cannot be wrong. And they were so dead wrong because he lost by a big landslide in 1980. So Andrew Holness having big crowds at political rallies may not be an indicator of a growth in his popularity. The indicator, to me, is growth and declining is by the persons who turn out to vote on election day. As you can see here by this our research here, is shown increased voting between 2002 and 2016, and decline began in 2020, as our figure shows. And this, for our friend there, the maths is adding up. The maths add up. All right? EOJ, the maths add up. And for the naysayers, we are not against Andrew Holness or against anybody at all. We're just showing a fact that the Prime Minister of Jamaica is still popular, but his popularity is now declining based on the persons who voted for him in the elections in his own constituency. You see by the figures. Decline started in 2020, but yet still, he's still popular. He's more popular than Mark Golding. All right, so those who were vocal earlier, give us your views now in the comment section about part 2, and tell me if I am delusional and I'm out of my mind, I'm losing it. I am a comrade who upset because PNP lose and all those comments. So please comment in the comment section now. I said to you, the maths add up. All right, and we don't come here to mislead. We lead. And we don't spread propaganda. We talk facts on this channel. So again, we're not against PNP. Now we're not for PNP. We are for the truth. All right, so I'm Dudley Thompson. And again, please like, share, and subscribe. And as usual, thanks for watching.